What's up, guys? This is another beautiful day in Arkansas. We are going to be doing a bunch of little small projects today, I think. I'm supposed to be doing an exam right now, or writing a paper. It's due at midnight, but instead we're doing this. So obviously I have some issues with these seats. They're just torn up. They're all cut up and dry rotted and honestly hurt. So the rear seats are fine, but both these front seats have got to go. So we bought some fake leather from Walmart. That was about $35, but it'll be a lot nicer looking than what I've got. And then I bought this, it's a Nylite 42-inch curved light bar. So that should be plenty of light to get me on the trail, especially at night. This is one of the cases where we have light bars and no lockers, but we intend to get lockers really soon. But I'm really wanting to get this thing out on the trail, and we night wheel a lot, so these will make videos actually viewable, as well as me being able to see, because these, I'm assuming, are going to blow up, and that's so yellow you can it barely puts out any light, is what I'm trying to say. So this will be a huge upgrade as far as just overall visibility on the trails. And I got these little mounts that mount to the back, so I can put this onto the hood without just drilling a huge hole in the middle of the hood. If it comes to that, so be it, but I'm trying to keep this at least nice looking. So we're going to try it out, and if it doesn't work out well, then I'll keep drill bits with me on the trail. But let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so this is what the mounts look like. I'm hoping this focuses, but it's got a little rubber pad, and then it just clamps down on the bottom to the hood, and so it shouldn't scratch it up. And then this you set however you want. You can set it at any angle, and so should work well with these little with this light bar mount. So I'm going to start this out actually by closing this hood up and putting the light bar exactly where I want it, and then I can set up where I want these mounts. Right there, should be about perfect. I'm lining it up, it fits directly on these ridges for the hood. I'm going to start out by loosening up these screws on the bottom so I can clamp it down. So, right there. Alright, so here's what we have so far. This mount has the little rubber piece right here. We've tightened this up to where it's going to sit just like that. I'm going to tighten these side bits a little more once I get it exactly where I want it, just to make sure. Probably aim down just a little bit, but we can also adjust it with the feet of that. And so I'm going to lift this hood up, and there's 3 screws on the bottom that I'm going to tighten down, and it comes with all the Allen wrenches or Allen keys, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm going to hold this, flip the hood up, and tighten it down exactly where I want it. Alright, close this back down and show you what we got. Alright, here's the first side, and I'm going to actually adjust this little thing right here and turn it in so I can loosen this little thing, nut in the front, and rotate this where I want it, just like that. So now it sits a lot more straight, but yeah, perfect right there. Go and do the other side. Alright, so I threw this back up top. I'm gonna just tighten this bolt down on this foot right here, at least somewhat, so I can get an idea of the angle it's gonna be at. I won't truly know how I want to set it up until I get it actually out on the trail, but we at least have some idea of where it's going to be pointing and how high I want it to be, and how high, if I want the mount to just rest where it's forward and then itself up to push it away from this windshield, or what I want to do. I may try to see what that looks like actually. But this would be where it sits basically on the hood. I think I like that because it pushes it away from the windshield a lot, so I can actually possibly even open up the hood with the light bar still on. And it's still sitting on rubber, so it's not going to be super loud or vibrate a lot. And it still sits over there. It's obviously touching right now, but it still sits about an inch above the hood. Might whistle a lot, but this Jeep's not going to go over 15 miles an hour, except on the interstate when it's being pulled. So not overall a big deal, I don't think. So I guess we're gonna see what we can do on the other side. Go ahead and put the foot in, at least somewhat loose, and just get it where we can kind of see what we're working with. Alright, we're going to start out by loosening. Get this at least kind of on camera. Start this out by loosening these bolts on the bottom again. Really loose. So now we can pinch that with the hood. Let's see if we go there. Right about there. I'm going to go ahead and put this light bar kind of on. Just hand tie it. It's fine for now. Roll it forward. See exactly where I want the angle of it to be. Everything's pretty much just hand tight right now, other than actually putting it on the hood. That's the only tight part right now. So going back through and just tightening each one again. And while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and pull this rubber underneath. So that way it's already run underneath this hood. I don't know, it's almost to the point where I could just do a quick disconnect and just run it directly to the batteries, but I'm not going to do that. I think right about there is where I want it on this side. I'm going to tighten that. I've got like 10 minutes before I have to go to class, but I think we can get this at least somewhat finished up. Oh, that's what we're fighting now. Alright, so here's the final product on that light bar mount. I ended up running it like this, where the rubber is contacting there. This is all the way forward, so I'm not really relying much on this cheap mount. And then it never hits the hood, and it's got about, even in the middle, it's got about ½ an inch of clearance. So if it rattles around, honestly, I'm moving that quite a bit and it's not touching. So I think it'll probably move around while it's running, but not ever hit the hood. And if it does, I'll cut like the inner tube off of a tire and put it on the bottom, glue it or something, so it's at least not making noise. But yeah, we'll see. See how I like it. If I don't like it, I can always move it forward and just drill in, or if it glares too much off of the windshield. Actually, I haven't looked from the inside to see how it looks, but doesn't block too much of my view. I mean, it's obviously there, but honestly, I kind of like this. And for a $75 light bar and a $16 mount, $75 light bar with the wiring harness, which is another 20 bucks. So for $50, that's a pretty dang good looking light bar. And I love the black. I love that it's like blacked out, but it's got the spot and the floods. I'm assuming the floods are on the sides, and it's curved like I said, so it kind of shines light in every direction. But I'm assuming from here over are the floodlights, and you can see that it's got like that, oh, I forget what it's called, but it's got like the crinkled looking glass, so it dissipates it more and shines it more in every direction. Whereas in the middle, where I'm assuming the spotlights are, I'll get you right on that. You can see that it's really like a precision, really smooth versus this. I cannot think of what it's called, but it's like diffracted. And so it would shine light in every direction. You can see that difference right there, but I'm excited to try it out. It shouldn't take much for me to get the actual wiring harness together. The main issue I foresee is getting the wires through the firewall, but that's just a pain with every kit, not just this one. Thinking about it, I may have access right through the door. I'm not gonna run it there. I'll run it through the firewall like it should be. But yeah, that's gonna be my next little thing. I have no idea. This took about 45 minutes because overall I had to redo it because I tightened things in the wrong order, and so it was hard to get everything together. Tighten, if you get this kit, and I'll have a link to everything down below, but if you get this kit, tighten the actual like leg of the light bar before you tighten anything else, because that is so hard to get to once this is tight. So I ended up having to completely take this off of each side so that I could move it around and get an impact on it, because I don't have a 12 mil, or it was either 12 mil, I ended up using a 1/2 inch, but I don't have either of those sizes in a wrench. So I used an impact and used the absolute lowest setting and didn't torque it all the way down, but it's on there really well, and I think that it'll hold up. But y'all don't want to hear me talk. Let's go ahead and get this wired up. Alright, I'm going to start this out by showing how I'm going to actually run this wire. I just have it looped right here for now just to get it out of the way. But so if you look down in this hole to right where this like spring is to like make the hood stay up, there's a little hole in the bottom there where there's a wire that runs through. I'll get a light on that here in just a second. Alright, so backing up. Here's the spring. There's that wire. And this is a little like sealant thing, and you can move that out of the way. And I'm going to push this wire down through there, and I'll show you where that leads. Alright, just to get the bearings again, there's that spring. Feeds down through that. And you can see the silver tag right there. That's where it ends up. And then I fed them to right there. And so this is going to be where I connect that next connection to. I was even able to pull them a little bit further so I can get better grip from, I'm going to use this actual like crimping and stripping tool. So I don't like it only having that much copper or whatever metal they're using out. So I'm going to actually strip that a little bit more back and give us a little more area to work with. Okay, didn't tear it exactly where I wanted it to, but still gave us a lot more metal for sure to work with. So I'm going to take these little blue clips. These are not provided. I'm doing this myself. I lied. I'm going to solder and shrink wrap this because I have this shrink wrap. Now, it came with all the tools to, well, other than actually crimping it down, it came with everything to make this connection with the light bar, but instead I have some solder and a solder gun and I'm bored and it'll make a little bit better connection. So I'm gonna do that instead, and it'll make it a little bit more permanent and less susceptible to things like mud, water, dust, things like that. So they gave this wiring harness already with these on it, so I'm gonna cut these off and strip that wire a little bit back. Start with the negative side. It's not connected to the battery, I just thought I'd add. Let's get a little bit more off. Okay, just like that, we have that wire pretty well freed up. So we're gonna take, hopefully not lose that down there. So there's a couple different ways to do this. I'm also gonna go ahead, so I don't forget, I'm gonna go ahead and put a sleeve on one of these. This is just like a Walmart cheap shrink wrap sleeve. And I'm gonna have to cut something back. That's a little too big. Let me think. We're gonna cut this back a little bit. It's a little bit too long. It doesn't have to be overly large. We're gonna slide this just over one of the ends. Don't forget that. I've done it so many times and had a beautiful solder and had to completely undo it because I didn't have a sleeve. We're gonna rip this back a little bit. This is all honestly pretty well done for just a cheap Amazon wire harness, but I'd rather have it done just completely the right way, right out of the box, or right out of the get-go, so I'm not having to deal with any kind of issues later. So all I did was, it's got this kind of dust wrap shield stuff on it. So slide the sleeve over, gives me plenty of room. Hoping you can see that pretty well. I'm at least in focus this time around. And I'm gonna take these and twist them together a little bit. I've got this one that's longer, so I'm gonna wrap it a little bit around. And then I'm gonna drop that down. Grab this little solder gun. Nothing nice, it's literally from Harbor Freight. I'm grabbing solder that I bought at Walmart, so nothing. I mean, I spent maybe $10 on this, and I don't even know, $5, $10 on this. But I'm just gonna get it heated up. This has been heating for a couple minutes. Make sure the other wires are out of the way. And let's see, we're gonna do just like that. But basically all you're wanting to do is make sure that is really good and sealed. Make sure it's giving it the opportunity to get down into the seams of this. Very easy process. I'm gonna get a little bit more solder just on the gun itself. But yeah, this is only my second or third time soldering, so I'm sure it's not beautiful, but it's going to be a lot prettier than just leaving it open or having just that connection. You, of course, can use that connection that it comes with, but I would prefer to have it just completely done right. As I buy Amazon parts and Harbor Freight, everything, and Walmart, everything. But that wasn't the solder gun dropping. But I will show you the solder just because I'm feeling nice. Not beautiful, of course, but oh, focus. Let's go back and zoom in. But pretty solid connection. And then I'm gonna run in and grab a lighter and just shrink wrap this over, because that's all this little heat tape is. It's just a shrink wrap, bought in a kit, also from Walmart. I lost the paper to it, but it beats the connections like this. All right, now here's that first connection before I take the lighter to it, and technically you probably should take a heat gun to it, not a lighter, but we're doing this on budget. So we will be just kind of shrinking that around. Don't overheat it. I've done that a couple times as well. You will just burn the wire and it's not pretty. So don't do that, but just be real, just kind of go back and forth. Don't overheat one spot too much at a time. So go ahead and do that and I'll show you the finished product. Can't tell for sure if I'm in focus, but trying to get this in a position where you can see it, but just running it back and forth. Don't overheat anything. That's pretty good for that side. Maybe do it a little bit. That little dust shield definitely kind of, the dust shield and the amount of space you have kind of limits the amount that you're able to move, but just kind of waving that. Okay, I'm gonna flip it, because I can't reach the other side of this shrink wrap stuff. But pretty easy process, and it's a lot more permanent than having just the little easy connectors. Again, would recommend a heat gun, but yeah, pretty. So here's that final product. You can see, not bad. A little bumpy, but that'll keep everything out pretty well. But I'm gonna do just the exact same thing on the other side. I won't drag you through that. Okay, so the stupid battery was dead again, so I think something's draining it, but I pulled the battery off my truck and jumped it, so it's still in the garage. You can hear it running right there. But, so I'm gonna show you what this light bar looks like, but you're not gonna be able to hear anything I say out there because it's kind of loud and I can't move it, so. Move that. Just gonna pinch it for now. Show you. I'm gonna put this on, but I'm gonna show you the light bar when I do it. You can definitely tell these outside ones are floods, but super bright. Whenever I get the drive shafts and whatnot on, I'll actually show you what it looks like, but stupid bright. Should work really well. I just got to figure out what's draining this battery over and over, because apparently the battery is okay and the alternator's okay because it's running on its own now. I pulled the truck battery back off of it, but something's draining the battery while it sits, so I've just got to figure out whatever that would be. But runs well. I do have the garage door open, but it is still just exhaust fumes everywhere. I'd like to see where, I feel like there's an exhaust leak somewhere, but yeah, overall it works. So yeah, that is how you install that. And I'm gonna work here in a little bit on trying to feed it through the firewall, finding out where the spot is to do that, because I've never done that part of this before. But right now the switch is just sitting right there. But I feel like, oh, it's so bad. I think just having the exhaust dump right there is a bad idea in general. But let's see, throw a flashlight on. Yeah, I feel like the firewall, I feel like it comes through right there, so that little bottom corner. But yeah, we'll figure this out. Maybe, I don't know, I've never done this part of it, so I won't try to teach you how to do this part, but I'll show you what I figure out how to do at the end. But yeah, I just wanted to see, with no transfer case, I wanted to see if there's, so I've been told that there's like plastic stoppers, and I feel nothing, it just freely moves. I thought that like there'd be a plastic stopper to show you, like so I wondered if it would interfere when I put the new one in, because it has different gears than the one that's in it right now has. But I thought there was plastic like up in here that like kind of had like a stop here for neutral and a stop at the back for 4 low, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But yeah, I guess we're gonna start trying to figure out what this is, turn this thing off, because I'm about to suffocate. Alright, I wouldn't go as far as to say I recommend you doing this, but what I'm gonna do is run it through this door seal and then straight up into like the corner of the window pane, like right by that spring where we ran the wire through on the other side. And then I've pulled this dash apart. It was just a couple screws. Why is this not enough light? There we go. Okay, let's do like that. That's absolutely not helpful. Okay, let's go this. So there's this plate, which is right there on the dash normally. There's a little thing on the back that already has the clips set up, so all you have to do, so I'm just gonna cut this little plate out, and it should be perfect for the little rocker switch. So I'm gonna do this. I just have a pocket knife. I don't have a Dremel or anything nice, but hopefully I don't stab myself. Alright, so after almost stabbing myself, I decided screw this and took an angle grinder to it. So obviously it's not pretty, but comes right out. And gotta cut a little bit deeper, but I can honestly probably just push that part out. Yeah, seems really flimsy. There you go. Broke it. And there's that. Really should fit in. If not, I may take a knife to the edges and just kind of clean it up, but cut out the shape of that box pretty well. So I'll let you know if this works. For taking an angle grinder to this, I say it looks pretty dang good. I think I'm gonna put some silicone in just to make sure that actually like stays and doesn't move around as much, but that ain't bad. So now now that this is through, I'm gonna run it down the back of, through the dash, down to the floorboard, and out the door. This is a terrible idea. Alright, so here's the mount with it all bolted back up. I am gonna silicone that, but I'd say that's pretty dang good. Looks, honestly, like, that looks like a factory, like, they made that to fit that, like, doesn't. This dash piece is broken, but that's not from this. But I say it's pretty dang good. So what I've done now down here is where I fed that wire through. I've duct taped it to the hanger. So I'm hoping when I pull this hanger through, I'm able to move. You see that? When I'm pulling this hanger, I'm pulling that. So I'm going to pull it through this little door seal right here. Alright, we're now looking underneath this fender well. This only works because I have mine completely chopped out. But you can see that is where it feeds from. That little white clip is what we're looking at. And it runs from that black wire through that door seal. Now I'm going to feed it up. And there should be a hole or a way to get it through the top. I'll figure out which one it is. Alright, so how I found the hole is I literally just took this light, shoved it down like that, and found where the light pokes through right there. And so I was able to push it through there. And there's also a little drain right here that I ran the other wire from. And so the connection is right there. And so I'm going to dielectric grease the crap out of that, because that is very exposed to weather and stuff like that. And but yeah, so that is that connection. Honestly, this would be the perfect place to like solder it, but I am not. It's too late for that right now, and that's in a super like hard spot to get to be honest. But so I'm gonna. It's not wired to the battery right now, so I'm gonna see. I feel like I'm gonna have to extend these two wires, which isn't a big deal. Yeah, not far, but I'm gonna have to pick up some wire because that just honestly, there's a crap ton of wire from this. Like, it runs all over this freaking thing. They put all the wire to wire up the light, but not to the not to get in all the way into the cab. So I guess they figured you'd be running it on the back of the thing. I don't know, but guess I'll be using that wire somewhere else. Oh, this is. I forget this doesn't have like a park right now because it doesn't. The drive shafts don't connect to the wheels. The more I look through this thing, the more dirt dauber nest I find. It's crazy. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna cut this right here and then splice in wire from over here from the Lightbar area. But now I can start tucking it away, zip tying everything up out of the way, away from the engine, and I'll have a functioning Lightbar. That was a pain, but you know what? We got through it. Alright, we got this all figured out. So there were 3 wires in there. There was red, white, and black. And there was only 2 wires in the wiring to the Lightbar itself. So I didn't cut that. I just tucked it all away over there. But whoever did this Jeep cut random wires all throughout it. And so I found wires that fit exactly what I needed. It's not zip tied up yet, but it will be. But so I ran pink, black, and white wires, matched them up. And so that's the only thing on this battery right now, because apparently something is draining it. But if I go through here, I don't know how well. I'll shine a flashlight. Yeah. Let's see. So, got that wired up right there, goes through there, goes through that door. I'm gonna maybe clean that up. I don't know. Honestly, probably will work. But goes down through there, up through here, into this rocker. Rocker light works. And that is dang bright. I've got to actually put the hood down and get all my tools out from under there, but I love that. And it's in kind of a factory looking spot with all my, I've got lights, fog lights that aren't working, and then my interior lights that don't exist. So, but I at least have like, my headlights do work when the Jeep has power to it. But yeah, I'm excited. That turned out really well. I took apart a bunch of stuff trying to figure out where I was going to run the lights, or where I was going to run the wiring. But got it all done. Can't wait to see what this thing does on the trails.